Previously on Funny Science Fiction.
One moment you're fine, and the next minute there's just a gnome going up where a gnome should be. And
Welcome to the Funny Science Fiction Podcast.
Hi, I'm Drayton Allen, and this is the Funny Science Fiction Podcast, where none of our videos will ever go viral, but they'll still give you the symptoms. Brought to you by our charity sponsor, the Red Shirt Widows and Orphans Fund. Remember, it hasn't happened yet, but someday we'll explore space, and the brave men and women who wear the red shirts will be brutally murdered by hostile aliens or killed by stupid engineering mistakes based on bad science. Imagine the comfort he'll give crewman number 7, knowing that when he puts on that red shirt and gets eaten by the hideous lizard alien thingy on Janus 7, 19 minutes into episode 28, that he didn't leave his family destitute. So please remember to give. This week, we'll be voicing an interview with voiceover master extraordinaire, Keith Silverstein, who is known for his voice work in movies like Captain Gantu from Lilo and Stitch, video games like Torbjorn from Overwatch, and the word on the street says that you are also Ziggy the rapping Zebrasaurus. Thank you for being on our podcast, and we hope that it won't be a career disaster like it was for us.
Thanks for having me.
We're very glad to have you here.
Happy to be here. Ziggy the rapping Zebrasaurus himself. Are you guys big Sesame Street fans?
Well, I showed it to my daughter. She loved it.
Nice.
So good work. You
Excellent.
succeeded.
Excellent.
Back in the day when my kids were younger, that was pretty big in the house, but 13 they kind of lost interest, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I make sure my daughters see everything that I do that is appropriate for them. That way they'll just think I was all over the place doing all kinds. I was on every show.
There you go.
They have no control yet. They're too young. So,
So I have our starting question here. It's one that's much debated,
Ooh.
probably even a touchy subject. Who knows? But maybe Torbjorn knows. So why don't you buy the pig while it's still in the bag? And why should you not get caught with your beard in a letterbox?
People always underestimate the engineers. Build them up, pray come down. Well, you can't.
My day is done. I'm good.
You can't buy the pig in the bag. You've got to check the pig. You've got to look at it, check its teeth, make sure it's healthy, that sort of thing. And people have lots of different ideas about getting your beard caught in the letterbox. I always thought I didn't look it up. I always thought it was more like pay attention to what you're doing, even the simple tasks, even the menial jobs, you know. But somebody brought something else up once that I can't remember now, but it made sense. I was like, huh. So if you guys have ideas of what you think don't get your beard caught in the letterboxes, I mean, let me know.
Well, I would think, especially for a little person, when you go to put a letter in the post box, back in the old days, they were on a post and they were a little box and they had a flap, heavy metal flap. So if you weren't careful, I would assume that it could get caught in there and be very painful.
So you think it's actually just good advice?
That's good advice.
Like it's just hey guys, be careful.
There is
if
no.
You're small. You know what I mean? Just
yeah. There is no hidden meaning.
There's nothing deeper. It is just literally, hey, this happened to me once.
Right,
guys, be careful.
Disclosure here: my brother-in-law was one of the Munchkins in the new Return to Oz, or what was it called? The Oz the Great and Powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So has some experience with being at height restrictions in the family.
Right. Advice for the short.
Yes.
There you go.
There we go. That's
New
what
podcast.
Torbs is all about.
There you go.
So, speaking of the pig in the bag, you obviously must have purchased and later regretted. Our admin Deb, she'd like to know. She's our assistant on the side taking notes. I personally, and I resonated with this question because I have a specific voice I use for all my pets. They're too embarrassing for me to do, but but I have a voice that I give my pets, and stuff, and I only talk to them in that voice. I don't know why. It's just one of those things. What pets do you have? I don't know if you have any pets or ever had pets, but do you give them voices? Do you use a voice with your pets?
Well, let me first off ask you, when you say a voice for your pets, do you mean a voice that you talk to your pets with?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
oh, come here, or do you mean that you talk for them, like in Frozen?
I want to know both.
So to answer your question, yes.
Of course. I don't have any pets. I grew up with pets.
Okay.
We had cats and dogs and the whole thing. And as an adult, I have decided, responsibility wise, kids are more than enough for me.
Right?
They are the most expensive pets.
Yes.
They are, and they love pets, and we play with other family members' pets, and we love animals. They want pets, and I'm like, grow up. I'm evil. It's the one evil dad thing that I do, where I'm like, you can grow up and get your own pets. So yeah.
Whereas me, every animal I see, every dog I see in public, I'm like, oh, it's your puppy. Oh, yeah, my wife just loves it.
Do you think the dogs are like, this guy again?
You know, they're nice to me. I figure they're like, oh, look at his back.
That must be weird for them though, like that most people are like, here boy, come here, hey, and every once in a while, I don't know, 10% of us are like, get over here, like, what is that? Like,
Yeah, that'd be me.
Yeah, it might work though. It might hype them up. That would hype me up if someone did that to me, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I get all excited.
Oh, they're excited to see me.
Right. They're so happy. This is great. They really like me.
I mean, that way they at least know you're talking to them, right?
They
I
like
don't
me.
know.
They really, really like me.
So
That's the theory.
everyone has like a work that they're obviously proud of. They just, they remember enjoying so much just doing in that moment.
Mhm.
For reasons other than enabling people to not wear pants and make money. What are you most known for, you think? But actually, more importantly, what did you enjoy most doing?
Okay. Well, let's talk. Well, first off, what I'm most known for, I guess, would be Torbjorn from Overwatch, Hawkmoth from a show called Miraculous: Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir.
Yep.
I'm Vector the Crocodile in the Sonic the Hedgehog series. Hunk in the Resident Evil series. Hisoka on the series Hunter x Hunter. Those are some of the ones I think that I'm most known for, probably. I'm forgetting some. Reaper from Call of Duty. Black Ops.
Okay.
But in terms of what was, I mean, I have different things, and I love different characters in different series for different reasons. Like Hunter x Hunter, which I mentioned, the character Hisoka is one of my favorite characters of all time that I played. He's just so off the beaten path in terms of character and writing and everything. So I would come in for a session and literally never know what to expect with him. So that was a lot of fun. I worked on a series that I think I will consider the most fun, which was called Glitter Force, produced by Saban. It's on Netflix now. They repurposed an older anime and rewrote parts of it, but it was a real fun series, and it's one of the few series where they actually let me play. There's 4 main villains throughout the series, and they let me play the 3 male of the 4 villains. So I got to constantly argue with myself, which was so much fun. And not only that, it was the sessions were we were encouraged to improv. Mary Elizabeth McGlynn directed, and we were able to improv. I mean, not so much that it disturbs progress, but they kept a high percentage of the things that not just myself, but lots of the actors. I can just listen and tell things that were added in by the actors that are hilarious, and it's nice to. You can't always have that kind of creative input. You just can't.
Yeah.
Some series don't allow for that. Period. This one really did, and it was encouraged, and a lot of it was used. So to watch
cool.
and to have done, it was just a really fun, tongue-in-cheek series that I did. So
Great.
Nice.
And that'll never happen again. No one's ever going to say you can be 3 of the villains in the show. So.
Yeah, that's got to be nice to have your own artistic expression, because that's really what you live for. So that's cool.
Oh man, I had a lot, and they were really fun. It's a very broad show too, in terms of the characters and stuff. And the girls are very goody two shoes, very happy puppies and sunshine. So the bad guys are, like Ulrich is way down here, and he's very evil all the time, very aggressive, and wants to take over and create bad things. And then Brutus, not as smart as he is, of course, he's a big ogre, and he's like this, so he's the butt of a lot of the jokes, but he doesn't get it. And then there's Joker, and Joker's more the one who's in charge, because he's the only one who has brains.
I love it.
Nice.
And the back and forth with those guys is phenomenal. It's a lot of fun. So
I'm sure it's hard to keep track sometimes. Like who you're like, you probably accidentally like start as you ever like accidentally start as like the Joker, and then you're like, oh yeah, that's right, I was doing this voice. Oh, we gotta reshoot it, like kind of thing.
yeah, every once in a while that does happen. I thank God for references. Like when you go in for a session, because sometimes it can be as long as 10 years, which is uncommon, but it has happened. Between when they call you back and then say, like, I've done a series and then they rebooted a series like 10 years later, and you're like, you got something for me to hear?
Wow. Yeah, that would be.
But if you have a lot of sessions even in a week or a month, and you're coming back once a month, sometimes I spent an hour a month ago on this character, play me a little something, please.
Right. Be able to hear it back.
Yes, yeah. It's not uncommon. Maybe some people are better with that. I like the more far out the voices, further from my natural voice, less subtle, the more likely I am to remember it. But if it's a subtlety, I'm less likely to have it right on the top of my head.
Makes sense.
Actually, it's funny, this topic, I got this, it came up with one of the interviews we did with Guy Sklanders when we hosted his interview. He did some just minor voice work for Star Trek mod. And, I've even obviously had my voice recorded, a number of times. But I go back and I listen, and I tend to be my own biggest critic. Do you find yourself criticizing your voice? Hard to listen to shows or hard to play a game that's hearing your voice all the time, or do you actually enjoy it?
It's funny. So if I'm watching a show or a game or something, generally speaking, I can sit back and enjoy it. Now, I am critical in terms of my acting. So if I'm not happy with a line or a performance in general, or it's been a lot of years and I'm like, oh, why did I make those choices? Those were terrible choices. That can grate on me. But what I can't stand is behind the camera talk. Nothing to do with the voiceover, but if I'm filming the girls swimming or at a park and I'm like, honey, do this, say that. Oh my God.
We're all guilty of that.
Oh, I'm like, shut up. It kills me. I hate to hear my own voice in that condition. I can't stand it. It's weird, but for that in a commercial, I'm like, hey, that's me. But behind the camera, I'm like, oh, just be a cameraman. Shut up. Stop talking. I want to hear what they have to say. It's not about you.
So I came from like a drama background a little bit. I was in some plays and yada yada.
I love yada yada. Yada yada is one of my favorite plays. Great play, great production. I played Sparky in the original production of Yada Yada. Oh. Yeah, just off Broadway.
Didn't even
That's
see.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, obviously, acting is a difficult skill to accomplish well. However, voice acting, people don't usually see you. Do you think that in general you'd make a good actor, or do you feel that voice acting is just where it's at?
They're not mutually exclusive. No, for me, voice acting is where it's at. When I was younger, I wanted to do on-camera stuff, and I kind of stumbled into voiceover. Now, 20 years into it, I gotta say, I have such respect for on-camera actors because I have not exercised those muscles.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, at all. I mean, all of it. Even just the memorization, like that is unbelievable to me. So nowadays, when you're doing like motion capture, and some actors are really, really good at that because they have an acting background, they have a theater background, and or they still do on-camera stuff. And so memorizing the whole thing, blocking everything, they're like, I got it. Me, I'm very uncomfortable with that. I have no idea what my brain can still maintain at this point. So for me, voiceover is definitely where it's at. That dream has, for me, is long since passed. I don't feel like I didn't achieve a dream that I had. I literally am like, you know what? No, I like this.
Chosen
So
path. Yeah, that's
I
great.
have a ton of respect for people who do that. Absolutely. I think I mean, in some ways it's easier and in some ways it's more difficult. With voiceover, you have only your voice to relay everything. And when you're on camera, there's so much you can add, you know, with your face, with your body. There's so much more to bring it across. But there are plenty of things that are more difficult about it too. There's more to worry about. I mean, I like focusing on just my voice, and it doesn't matter how I move. Even with mocap, you might do something kind of funky facially, like with facial cap, to get to that voice or to get to that character, but it may not work great with facial capture. They're like, you look like an idiot. you sound great, but you look like it. And so for me, I mean, I'll do that stuff, but there's a point where it becomes acting, and it's no longer in my comfort zone. So
Interesting. Thank you.
Okay, so let's bounce off that answer into a question I have for you. Yeah, boing. So you talked about motion capture and doing all those things, and so let's talk about your creative process and how you get to a voice of a character, and how you land on it. Do you need to read the script first, or do you like to see a mock-up of the character? Or is it a combination of the two?
Well, you're putting me in an ideal world. You get a sketch or some kind of image of the character, because that speaks to me more than almost anything else.
Okay.
You will usually get a brief description, a couple of paragraphs about the character, usually some very useless information and some useful information. They always have to spice it up with stuff that you're like, that doesn't help me in any way. I don't know how to sound purple. I don't need to know that part. But usually what you get is just a brief description. Hopefully you get an image. I will read the description first. Actually, you know, it's funny, you just asked my process, but sometimes the image will pop out first. But either way, if you look at the image first and that gives you an idea for a voice, then you have to read the description, which may then change your idea for the voice. You're like, oh, crap. And then I'll frequently go my own way with it also.
Okay.
Just kind of go, you know what, let me throw all that out, do my own thing, and then go back. Because sometimes you have a first inkling of an idea, and once you've read that and looked at the picture too much, you start to limit yourself. And I think if you can kind of do one read, like if you have a script, I'll do one read through of a page as me, like nothing, and just see if anything pops out. And then you kind of go back to the picture, you go to the description, and see what that does and what that changes. And sometimes it changes a lot, and sometimes you carry a little bit of what you started with, and you're glad you did it because you wouldn't have had that in the first place. So,
okay, awesome. All right, so I was looking and trying to count the number of jobs that you have done, but I lost track at 20, which coincidentally is also the same number of fingers and toes that I have, but I digress.
That is actually why I stopped at 20.
Well, see, and I appreciated that because I got lost.
It's not a coincidence at all. I just said, I was like, I'm sorry,
So-
I can't accept any more work.
Tim will not be able to count these things.
Right.
So you have hundreds and hundreds of acting credits to your name, which to me, I look at that over the years and I go, this guy's been a busy man. But somewhere along the line of all those hundreds and hundreds of jobs, there has to be the one that got away.
You are the one. Oh, that got away.
Yeah.
Got
The one
away.
that the job that you really wanted, but for whatever reason, you just didn't get. Can you think of one that you're like, man, I really want this job. This is the one. And then kind of piggyback to that. What attracted you to that job?
You know, I don't want to disappoint you, but here's the thing. As an actor, you get far more rejection than you get anything else. I mean, you just do,
sure.
Naturally. You know, if you're auditioning for like every 25 auditions, if you book one, you're killing it. You're rocking. You're amazing.
Yeah.
So
Right.
So there's a lot that we don't get, and I'm very like able to. I roll with the punches very well. First off, I don't get caught on any one gig too much, because until it's recorded, you're not getting paid. And
Right.
until it airs, you're not necessarily getting credit.
True.
So because it may be canceled, the show, the commercial, whatever, it may not happen even after you've recorded it. I had done Overwatch, and they were in beta testing for a year and a half, 2 years or something before it actually came out. And I knew the entire time that the whole project, or just myself, just my character, could be scrapped at any point.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
And you just live with that. So I find it very helpful to not get caught up on any audition. Like,
Okay.
I've got to get this, I have to book this is the one. And not only that, on the flip side, even if I were hoping to get a lead in a particular show and then I got this interesting side character, I tend to really enjoy the rungs on the ladder that I'm allotted. In other words, it's not like a straight, it's not like a straight race. You know what I mean? Like, I just got to get this. Your career, the fun thing about a voiceover career is that you never know where it's going to take you. You have no idea. And if I could have booked somebody other than Torbjorn, and I think I would love that character equally. But this is what I have. This is what I got. And so you kind of just learn to love the surprise of the whole thing.
That's cool.
Okay.
So I know that's not. I mean, I'd love to say here's this gig, and I wish I got it.
That's very
it's a very good answer. I like it.
It would kill me if I did that. I'd be like, ah!
Yeah, you couldn't. Yeah, the emotional.
Yeah.
The emotional roller coaster, I think, would probably be too much. That makes sense to me.
Heart set on
Yeah. I'll tell you what I do have. I do have like franchises that I love, that I get excited to be able to work on, and I'm always looking forward to more. You know, things like Star Wars and Marvel stuff and Star Trek. Like I haven't done any Star Trek anything, and that would be really a cool thing just for me personally to just have under my belt at some point.
Sure.
I mean, sure, a lead would be great, but it doesn't matter. Just to be able to be like, I'm a tiny piece of that universe. Yes.
So, I mean, if you were offered a Star Trek job, would it matter or not if that character was a Sith?
It would matter a lot. It would be an incredible crossover event,
Exactly.
and I'm sure it would suck, and the fans would hate it. I would know. I would know that they were going to hate this.
You never be able to show your face again at a con.
Yeah,
awesome.
They don't need that crossover. Let's hope that.
No.
never,
I'd like to keep
ever
those two.
happens.
I'd like to keep those two universes separate myself.
They don't need each other. That's the thing.
No.
They don't,
Yeah.
They're both very successful. Don't do it.
Yeah, in their own rights.
Yeah.
So, in a completely different direction, I noticed on Twitter that you were excited to get a copy of Bat Dance by the Purple One, and you got it on vinyl. So, as another vinyl collector, that sparked some interest about your collection.
Sure.
So we're going to ignore the other guys on camera here. This is just you and me, vinyl collector to vinyl
What
collector.
guys? What guys?
Exactly.
Where?
There's nobody else. We're just
Talk to me, Tim. Talk to me.
okay. We're putting our blinders on. Okay, so it made me interested about your collection of vinyl.
Okay.
So how extensive is your collection, and what are you listening to it on?
Oh man, it's funny. So I used to collect back in the day, like 20 years ago or 25 years ago, and I kind of got out of it and sold a bunch of stuff that I never should have. And then about 4 or 5 years ago, got back into it, of course, and repurchased a bunch of stuff. I'm still doing it. So my buddy, who is an avid collector, I don't even know what turntable he gave me. It works great. It's an old classic. It's nothing new. It's not like a new technique, something or other. I don't even know. Same with the speakers. I'm just like, they work great for now. He gave me some classic stuff.
Nice.
But in terms of my collection, I collect very specifically all Prince and Prince-related artists on vinyl only.
Okay.
And I have somewhere over 1,000, I don't know how many, somewhere 1,000, 1,300, 1,500 records, something like that. And I collect everything. So you're talking about, promotional records, test pressings, vinyl from all over the world, whether it's from Japan or Australia, anything that, even if the only difference on the album is that it says made in Canada, I've got to have a copy of that in near mint or better condition. So
when you say Prince related, do you mean artists that were tied to Prince, like, Morris Day and the Time, Kevin Campbell, guys like that?
Sheila E., anything, any song that he ever wrote, So if you obvious one like Sinead O'Connor,
Sure.
Nothing Compares to You. Like I have that single Manic Monday. I have it from lots of different countries. So
Okay, cool.
Anything. Those the more well-known ones, the lesser known ones, and
All right. Well, that leads me into my next question for you because, well, no, that it was a perfect setup and you didn't even know it. So kudos to you. You get like like a gold star of the interview. So
what?
I know, right?
I'll take it.
For every collector, there's they have a gem in their pile that if they talk to anybody about their vinyl collection, they go, "You're never going to believe what I found." So for me, that is an original release of the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band with the cutout poster still intact inside of the album. I found it at a thrift shop, and I about peed myself right then and there. I'm a huge Beatles fan. I've been a Beatles fan since I was like 12 years old.
That's awesome.
So that's mine. Whenever I talk to somebody about my vinyl collection, they're like, "Hey, what's your favorite album?" I'm like, "It's this one. It's this one right here. Look how cool this is."
That's pretty awesome.
So yeah, so that's mine. What's your hidden gem?
Okay. There are lots that I'm still, that are still, golden things to achieve. But one of the cooler items that I have that I like, just because the little story behind it, it's an artist named Mika Paris, and she covered one of Prince's songs called "If I Love You Tonight." And what happened was in the UK, they pressed up about 200 promotional DJ promo albums. These 12 inches with like 6 different versions of the song. And nobody knows for sure how this happened, but somehow one of the tracks on that vinyl is actually Prince's demo of the song with Prince singing.
Oh wow.
And this was a song he had never released. Now it's not remastered. It sounds like a demo on the vinyl.
So very rough.
It's very rough. You can totally hear it. It's him. And that was released, and it was given out to they say maybe 200 to 500 of these were made or something like that. No one's exactly sure. The company realized the error of their ways. They contacted all the DJs, and rumor is they got all but somewhere between 50 and 100 of them back. So there's 50 or to 100 of these things floating around. It's not it's worth some money. It's not like the Black Album. It's not like that thing that's worth like a ton of money, but it's worth from like $400 to $1,000. But it's a very, very cool piece just because of that story. I mean, there's no other example of that happening that I know of with Prince, at least. So
yeah, but to a collector, that's a priceless item. Doesn't matter what the monetary value is.
Exactly. It's a very, very cool thing. So
so that's one that you have then. That's awesome.
I do have a copy of that. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well done, you.
Sci-fi forever.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right,
and there's a robot on the cover. There's not a robot on
the cover. So anyways, I was looking through your tweets too, and I saw you're a family man. And now when my kids are growing up, of course, motivating them to do the things that you need to have kids do, whether it's like,
plow the fields, clean. Wait a minute, what are you talking about?
All the time.
Wash the car.
Right. Yeah. No, but whatever it is. So I just wondered if your voice talents come into to help out sometimes to get your kids motivated to do stuff. Do you ever try to make use of that to try to, make it more fun?
All the time, constantly. I mean, that's what it's for. It's for making it more fun. I think if they're not, I don't use it when they're upset. It doesn't help.
No.
I can just imagine you trying to comfort a child in Torbjorn's voice. It'll be okay.
Hello. No. It very much comes in handy for story time, of course.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking too, along with that, I was trying to imagine, how do you explain to your kids what you do? Daddy talks silly and people pay him money. How do you explain your job to your kids? Or of course, when you're growing up, they think everybody's dad does that.
That's funny. I'm really lucky. See, my son, I started my career. Well, he was pretty young too. So my son, who's now 23, was never impressed. Never. I don't mean with anything in life. I just mean with voiceover. Like it was like whatever. The best I ever got from him. The best. This is the pinnacle of my career for him. Is
Right.
I went to go pick him up from school, and he was hanging out with 2 other kids, and he goes, "Hey, Dad, what's that one character you did in the like the zombie game thing?
Yeah.
Hunk from Resident Evil? Oh yeah, Hunk from Resident Evil." That was the ultimate.
Got you some real credit there.
I slept like a baby that night because that was the best I've ever gotten from him. Like
My boy's so proud of me.
Now, granted, I didn't hear the conversation before I got there, and it could have been, guys, my dad's a total dork. He's in this, oh, hey, Dad, what's that one game? So I don't know how it started, you know?
Right.
No, just finish on the high side.
It was all good.
Yeah,
finish on the high side. Finish on the high
totally.
side.
I'm going to take it as a
You're going
compliment.
to take it that way.
And
It's
the
a win.
girls, my girls, they love it. They appreciate it. They actually like a lot of the shows. I'm very lucky because a lot of the shows they actually like. I might bring something to them, and they're not going to like it just because I'm in it. They're going to like it because they like it. And if they like it and I'm in it, it's a bonus for them. They dig that. And luckily, a bunch of the shows, they've had a lot of shows that they got into, at least for a short while or a long while, that were shows that I worked on. So they think it's cool. Even my 5-year-old gets it. She'll ask me if that's me when she's watching something. She can pick me out in all the, in most things that are age appropriate, of course.
Of course. Yeah.
I'm sure they could pick me out in that other stuff too, but they're just not going to get the opportunity.
Fair enough.
Well, that's great. And I was thinking too, because I was looking back at some of your earlier interviews and the things that were written up about you, and you gave this experience in the one about when you were a kid, taking the old cassette recorder and doing the voiceovers for Betamax movies. So I remember those days. I'm just a little bit older than you, but that made me think about, going back in my own childhood and thinking about some of the classic animated stuff. And and if as a voice actor, if you could pick like one role for all time that would have been a blast, or you think would have been awesome to do, that you would have loved to have done, what would that be?
I would have loved to have done. Well, I got to do, some of them I've gotten to do, strangely.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
like I'm a big fan of Lupin the Third, for example, and I watched a lot of Lupin anime. And Tony Oliver, who currently voices Lupin, he's had about 5 different voices throughout his career as a character, is fantastic. But they did these films that were a little edgier, a little more adult just for these films. And so they wanted a different voice. And so I've done 3 to date now of these films as a character that I loved and never thought I would get the chance to voice.
That's awesome.
I said I'm a big Marvel fan. My favorite Marvel character is Daredevil, so I would love to be able to voice Daredevil at some point.
That'd be cool.
Hopefully, I would be a good fit. But but I would love that. That would be something that would be fantastic. But I have found with voiceover, the best characters to play are the ones that don't exist. And I say that because I don't even mean it in a creative, artsy way. You can go down that road too. But in terms of, if I said to you, I got to play the Joker, what an iconic role. That's so great. You guys would go, that's awesome. Mark Hamill's better. Or whatever your opinion happened to be. But that'd be a tough measuring stick. I would be one of 150 people who have played the Joker, which is a great thing to be. And I am not in the slightest knocking that. But how cool is it Tom Kenny gets to say, I'm SpongeBob SquarePants. And you don't go, oh, which version are you? Which one are you?
Right.
He's SpongeBob SquarePants. Worldwide, obviously there's some other languages, but he's known as that. So that's something that before the show would have meant nothing. The character didn't exist. No one cared about it. No one knew about it. And now it's a household name. That's the kind of character that, to me, that I'm always striving for. And we get some, Torbs is like that. Torbjorn was not a character before. Yep. Right. It's not at the level of SpongeBob, but when I fantasize about roles, there's 2 ways. Wouldn't it be fun if I got to? That would be a real kick in the pants for me. I would love that. That'd be great. like Daredevil or whoever, or a Star Wars character or something. But better for your career and better for longevity is to be the voice of whoever, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's great.
For sure.
And I had another thing I was thinking about, because our Facebook group that we that was kind of the basis for this podcast is called Funny Science Fiction. So we're all about funny and fun, and I know you do a lot of villains, so it gave me the idea, which is more challenging, a funny voice, or being funny, or being a villain?
More challenging. I think probably being funny, I think is more challenging. I mean, hopefully you have a little bit of you have some comedy chops to start, makes it a bit easier to do comedy. But I mean, when you're doing comedy, you're very specifically looking for a reaction. You want the audience to, at minimum, be pleased, if not to laugh out loud and enjoy it. When you're playing a villain, and even if you're doing anything scary, you have time for that to build. You have the suspense, the music, you have everything to help that build. And plus, there's different kinds of villains. There's villains that just kind of are over the top. There are ones that are overtly scary. There are ones that are kind of quiet and suspenseful, and they let the plot scare you, like what their actions are what are so scary. So I mean, I don't think there's the same pressure on, like, you need to hit this joke, and this joke needs to land right here on this line, and then it needs to land on the next line. And then you're setting up for somebody else, and then the next line you got to bring it home. So I think there's a little more pressure with, like, do it right. It's got to be this way, or it's not funny.
When funny goes wrong, it dies.
Right. And it's hard. I mean, not that every villain you play would be, Oscar worthy or Emmy worthy, but I mean, I think it's easier to not fall flat on your face playing a villain or playing anything serious as opposed to comedy.
Yeah. Well, great. And that's why my wife and I kind of grew up with the Muppets, and even as adults, we enjoy the Muppets, and they had such great voice work for those, and of course puppeteering, and I always admire the fact that they can be so consistently funny with what they do. And I just a shout out to the do you ever want to do a Muppet?
Well, I don't know that I'd ever get the opportunity, because those are usually puppeteers who are doing the voices. But yeah, I'd love to work on something like Muppet Babies or something like that. An animated series would be fantastic. I'm a huge fan of the Muppets. So yeah, that'd be
awesome. Yeah,
that would be a huge one to be able to do that. And I'd have to buy that Muppet toy.
Yeah.
Display it behind me.
Absolutely.
Very important. Yeah.
So I had thought of a little activity for us, and if you're game, you can always say no. No, okay. Show's over.
Well, it was nice meeting everybody. All right, we gotta go.
Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot.
I'm gonna go get my coffee.
Nick, you've been great.
There's something that's been bothering.
Nick's our shadow mage in the background. He's our sound guy.
Oh, there's something kind of been bothering me a long time. You're the guy to solve this problem. I really think you are. We have that big Facebook group, and we're bombarded by hundreds of funny memes every week. And most of the memes are, of course, since we're sci-fi, we get Picard and Data and Vader and Obi-Wan. And we all know what they sound like. So that got me thinking, there are some mainstream memes without a voice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking like Velociraptor, Ermagerd Girl, and Grumpy Cat, Good Guy Greg. What would they sound like if they could talk? And I thought, well, we give you that opportunity to establish the voices for some of these memes. Would you like to do that?
I think we have to. Memes are great, but they've kind of evaded me. Like I'm like memes. What? My daughter's always like, look at this meme. Yeah. And I'm the guy that's like, well, I mean, if I see one and it's funny, cool. But then you get deep. So some of these may be very deep, and I'll be like, what does this mean?
Right. So let's bring up, speaking of deep, let's bring up Velociraptor first, which is, there you go. And there he is. So I don't know, can you see that okay?
I can. It's a Velociraptor. I get this one. Sure.
Yeah. So this is a popular meme that he's always making some deep statement. So now I want to have a voice to go with him when I read his meme.
Okay, sure.
Put you on the spot here.
Okay? All right, let's go for it. Sure. Am I a nerd for liking Star Wars? Or do I like Star Wars because I'm a nerd?
Awesome.
My day is a win, part 2, right there.
Yes.
Okay.
Now every time I see one of those, I'll have a voice to
Now
go
you'll
with.
know. Now you'll know. We'll all know.
I was trying not to laugh, and I didn't want to go over that because that was just so beautiful. Okay.
Yeah, I was trying. I lost it. Well done.
Very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Then,
Nice.
Go Velociraptor.
all right. Now Grumpy Cat, he's real popular too. And go ahead with we'll give you a minute to prep. We can do whatever it takes. You can see that one.
Watched reruns of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Still disappointed that Wesley Crusher didn't get killed.
Yeah.
I had to put a little bit of indifference because it's a cat.
Yeah.
So
No,
Like,
completely appropriate.
I feel like they can be grumpy, but only so grumpy because then they're too invested. They're cats.
exactly.
No,
It's
they're cats.
so
Yeah.
true.
Let's go
All
on
right.
to-
What's here?
What's the next one, Nick? Pull up. Good guy,
Guy
Greg.
Greg.
Yeah, there you go.
I can't see. This is one where the image is so important here.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey! I found a wounded red shirt during an away mission. I gave him my hoodie to hide his shirt till they beamed him up. Hey, I'm a good guy, right?
Right.
Whoa! Hey, go me another beer. Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah. He's the guy we all been
Love it.
known. Yeah, that's
Well
awesome.
done, sir.
Yeah, I can't. The picture is everything.
It
Yes,
is.
it is.
And then do one more here.
Do these guys get recognized on the street? Are they like,
Oh,
my
they do.
God,
They
you're
do.
the guy
They do.
Greg." Even
Scumbag Steve,
Velociraptor?
Yeah, right.
And along with good guy Greg, his counterpart is scumbag Steve. That's so popular. Go ahead and enlarge that if you would, Nick. And I wrote this meme because I didn't find a good sci-fi meme for him or a pop culture one.
Okay. This guy's a younger dude. Hey, my name's Steve. I own a chocolate factory. I'll sell you a golden ticket for $1 million and you take an Oompa Loompa off my hands. Hey, I just raided my mom's closet. Do I look okay?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna go outside now. I'll see you guys later. I'm just kind of a scumbag. I'm gonna go kick the neighbor's butt.
We want to thank you. This has been a blast. We want to encourage everyone to check out Keith's work. Keith, where can people go to check out more voices from you or book your talent? This is we want you to have an opportunity here to pitch whatever you think is great.
For sure. Well, if you're looking for contact information for agents and such, my website is just keithsilverstein.com. You can visit me on Twitter at silvertalkie, Talkie. Keith Silverstein, straightforward, on Instagram. And every once in a while, I make a visit to Facebook, and that's Keith Silverstein Voice Artist on Facebook.
All right.
Great. And we'll list those in the notes of this podcast. Also, the other thing is I want to mention, because this is kind of something that's becoming more popular, we want people to check out your Cameo. And so that
Yes. Yeah.
That's kind of how we found you. We were looking through some of the Cameo artists and thought, wow, this guy would be great to have on our podcast. So that way you can send love to your family from Torborn, Ziggy, or many of the other voices that Keith does. And
Yeah. Let's face it. Nobody's gonna cameo to hear Ziggy the Rapping Zebrasaurus.
Oh man.
Well,
I don't
never know. You know?
I don't think it's gonna happen. I listen. I'm happy for that to happen, but I don't think it will. But yeah, if you're not aware of Cameo is a website where basically you can ask me to send you a video with your favorite character in it or what have you, or giving you a birthday greeting or a congratulations or just saying hi. And I'll respond to you within like 4 days. And that's basically how that works. You get a little video of me saying hi to you. Don't script it for me. I did have one guy that was like, I want this character to say this and then this character. And I'm like, so you can animate it. I'm like, nope.
No, you're not getting free animation from that.
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
It wouldn't be free, but it would be really cheap.
Yeah.
for a voiceover session. So yeah,
definitely.
but Cameo's a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun getting to
Good.
interact with the fans through Cameo as well. So
Yeah,
All right.
it's an awesome resource. We're going to, we think that one of the things we want to do on our podcast when we get artists that are on Cameo, we want to pitch that a little bit because I think our funny science fiction group would really enjoy having and sending those to their friends.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And also, we want to reach out to any of our listeners or watchers that if you would like, we'd love to hear your voices for your favorite animation or your favorite character. And if you want to post your recording in our funny science fiction Facebook group, we might come up with a reward if we get, somebody gets the most likes for their thing. That would be a fun little contest to have. So, Keith, it was excellent having you. Thank you for joining us today.
it was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening or watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like us on your favorite podcast platform and YouTube. If you've enjoyed our podcast, why not come join our Funny Science Fiction Facebook group too? It's filled with giggle-worthy memes and gags. Visit our website, www.funnysci-fi.com. That's FUNNYSCI-FI.com. You can also support us on Patreon, where you can get transcripts, bonus episodes, and other fun merch. That's at patreon.com/FUNNYSCIFI. Look for links in the podcast description.
On behalf of the rest of the hosts of Funny Science Fiction, we'd like to thank you for listening to this episode. If you'd like to be a guest on one of our future episodes, please contact us by means of our Facebook group, Funny Science Fiction. You can find us on Twitter or Instagram using the handle @FunnySci-Fi, or you can go to DraytonAllen.com and click the Contact Me link at the bottom of the page. Thanks again. Hope you enjoyed the episode.
Copyright 2020 by Drayton Allen. Original music by Jordan Michaels. Reference to any specific product or entity mentioned in this podcast does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation of or by Funny Science Fiction or its sponsors. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. If you have questions about this disclaimer, please contact us via email at DraytonAllen@DraytonAllen.com.